We just received breaking news earlier today that one of Nebraska's hidden gem wide receivers has entered the transfer portal effective immediately. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my instant reaction. Why is this bigger news than what most Husker fans are giving credit for? Who is this guy? What does this mean for the Big Red going forward? Is he the only one? There's a couple other players who might follow him into the portal and everything else you need to know about this developing story. And then the headlines continue to heat up around Nebraska flipping a Florida State DB commit. I'm going to give you the latest there. Who is that guy? A couple other players who I'm watching out for as well. And then last but not least, Joel Klatt had an interesting prediction around the Huskers today. You're going to want to stick around to the end of the video to see what that is. It's a hot take for sure. It's very positive, so I want to react to that at the very end. So really quick, we have a lot to get into. Hey, if you're having a good day, because I know I am, hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? For daily content, talking your favorite team, talking Huskers, it's a no-brainer. It takes 2 seconds. Join the family, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to get into. Let's get things started with the breaking news that was released earlier today that Jaden Doss has entered the transfer portal effective immediately. Now, this is a sophomore wide receiver for the Big Red who had a very good spring ball. Now, giving you some background on Jaden Doss, who's a former big-time recruit coming out of Kansas City, one of the more dynamic wide receivers we've got in the last decade. But honestly, his tenure with Nebraska was very misused. They started him off at wide receiver, then Matt Rule moved him to DB, back to receiver, back to DB, and he's finally back in his natural position of wide receiver. And honestly, this is somebody who was very talented. We just didn't know where to utilize him. We've seen that before with Matt Rule, where, maybe he doesn't make the best decisions in regards to what position to play people at. They moved Brody Tagaloa around. They moved Janiran around, I think it was a complete mistake. So they've done this in the past, so they'll move around players and they'll end up entering the portal, just not be utilized the correct way. Jaden Doss is one of those guys because, when he did get on the field, he was honestly pretty productive. He had 2 catches in his career. And then we heard all these headlines throughout spring ball that, Jaden Doss was absolutely balling out. I saw him up close and personal in the spring game, and I can firmly tell you, I told you guys then, I'll tell you guys now, Jaden Doss was by far the MVP of the spring game. He had over 100 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. He was fast, dynamic, made plays after the catch. So what's the reality behind this? Nebraska, they do lose a little bit of a depth piece who would have been very good on special teams in this receiver core. Now, was he going to start? Absolutely not. Was he going to be our 4th, 5th, 6th best receiver? Probably not either, but you just lose depth in a key positional group that honestly, I'm holding my breath on. I'm holding my breath in the wide receiver core because every single year we hype it up. We feel like it's going to be, top 20, top 10 in America, and it never lives up to expectations. So it just hurts losing a guy like Jaden Doss. It hurts losing a guy like Harley Gilmore earlier this spring. Just slowly we're kind of losing some key players. Isaiah Mozee, quote unquote, is moving to running back. We'll see how full of a transition that actually is. So the receiver core, which looked like an A+ like 4 months ago, is dwindling down. There's less talent in there now. So we'll see what happens there. Jeremiah Jones might move to safety by fall camp. So the receiver core, again, I'm still holding my breath. If injuries start to hit it again, you never know what's going to happen there. So Jaden Doss, somebody who, again, not shocking he entered the portal because if he's going to his 3rd year, probably wants to go play somewhere, but again, wish him nothing but the best of luck. That's, in my opinion, a little bit of a loss for Nebraska. Again, he was not going to start, but it just hurts the wide receiver depth in a room that honestly is still a big question mark. Is it actually going to live up to expectations? We will see because it just kind of feels like it never does. So that's Jaden Doss entering the transfer portal. But honestly, he might not be the only one. We know that the transfer portal opened up just a couple of days ago. This is a one-time thing. It's going to open up for pretty much the majority of July. Players can enter. Now, looking at this 105 limit, who is going to enter? We know the 105 is not a thing anymore, or it's not going to be a thing this year, but who's going to enter, realistically? So I could see a guy like Vince Genatone enter the portal. That's somebody who's probably never going to play in Nebraska. I know, hometown kid, but he might want to go play somewhere, play a lot in Montana. Probably not going to happen here. Wouldn't be shocked if he were to enter. The receiver core, Keelan Smith's a guy that I think's kind of been misutilized. He could probably move on, go back to Missouri. Quinn Clark, somebody that's interesting, right? Like just kind of these older veteran players I kind of have my eyes out for. Like, why would you stick around? Tyler Knack, somebody who I don't expect to leave because he's going to be in competition to get this right tackle spot this year, but maybe he feels like he's going to lose that job. Might go elsewhere, but actually, I shouldn't even say that. Tyler Knack's not going to leave. He's somebody who's a very high culture guy. Offensive line feels good. Defensive line, if defensive line's feels good, like Mason Goldman, Sewell Fodu. So those are some guys I kind of have my eyes out for. Gage Stanger, somebody where I would not be shocked if Gage Stanger just says, you know what, I want to go play. Like I've been here for 4 years already. I'm not going to play here in the fall. Why not go somewhere else? Maybe, step down a little bit and go play maybe South Dakota State or something, North Dakota. Other than that, Yeah, I mean, I could see just a couple of guys leaving the portal, but also I think Nebraska could take some guys in the portal. And we've seen some interesting running backs enter the last couple of days, some interesting wide receivers, interesting linebackers. So we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. Just know that would not be shocked if maybe one or two more players enter the portal by the time we actually get to fall camp. Now, with that being said, are any of these guys who leave, are they going to be, big losses? Probably not. Jaden Doss is probably as big of a loss as it gets, and he's really not that big of a loss. It's just, hurts the depth a little bit. So again, wish Jaden Doss the best of luck, but he might not be the only one. Just watch out for that over the next coming days. Then I want to get to some other storylines that dropped today. Again, Demitrius Hughes was reported by John Garcia over there at Rivals at Nebraska. They're continuing to work hard to flip him. Now, this is, of course, a four-star safety with Florida State. Somebody who Nebraska quietly behind the scenes, they've been working super hard, like for literally about a year now, to try to flip him away. He visited on an OV midweek, I believe it was like June 17th. So Demitrius Hughes is somebody that quietly behind the scenes in Nebraska, they're trying to get him to visit for that Michigan game. We know we're at this point in time with the DBs where DBs are kind of becoming a question mark with only one commit there and Danny Odom, who's very, very good, but you probably need three. You probably need even four with how, much of a question this DB room is. I feel like that room's going to get a lot of guys who enter the portal in December. So in my opinion, Nebraska probably needs four. Definitely need a safety to Demitrius Hughes. Just watch out for the name. If Florida State erupts this year, and I mean, it erupts in a bad way, and Mike Norvell gets fired, absolutely expect him to go on flip watch. There's really three schools. Again, Nebraska, Colorado, not really worried about Colorado. And then Syracuse is interesting. Syracuse is doing a good job with Fran Brown over there. So those are the three schools kind of working to flip him away. But, he's not really the only one. Darrell Bell's another person, a Florida State safety commit as well, also a four-star. Coincidentally, the Nebraska, they've been working super hard to flip as well. So just watch out for that name. Two Florida State safety commits in Nebraska, just trying to get on campus in the fall for OVs. We'll see if they can make something happen. But it just really comes down to winning. It comes down to NIL as well. And it kind of comes down to Florida State maybe not living up to expectations and having their head coach fired, which don't really want to ruin anybody's downfall. But I wouldn't be too mad if that happens, if you know what I mean. So just want to give you guys an update there. We know Nebraska, they're also going after somebody who just recently decommitted from Oregon, four-star defensive lineman. If you don't know about that, watch my video from yesterday. And then last but not least, want to get to something I saw on Twitter earlier today by Joel Klatt. We know that Joel Klatt, he always kind of hypes up Nebraska a little bit. Even though he's a Colorado alum, he always gives the Huskers a lot of respect, which I appreciate when it comes to Joel Klatt. But he had an interesting prediction. He posted this: Joel Klatt's 10 teams who are most likely to make their first college football playoff this year. And as you can see, at number 10, you got Nebraska. So just my overall reaction to this, I love that Nebraska's included. I'm not going to cry that we're not higher here. Illinois at 1, okay. Ole Miss at 2, South Carolina, Miami, See, that's the only one where I'm like, why is Iowa 5? And again, I think Iowa's schedule is kind of tough. I don't believe in their offense. I don't believe in their FCS transfer quarterback, but it is what it is. You got Missouri, you got USC, Kansas State, Florida. So I agree with pretty much all those teams have been ahead of Nebraska, but Iowa probably not there. But again, it feels good to be in these lists. Like, okay, maybe it is a real possibility Nebraska can make the playoffs this year. Yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. I think I'd put us pretty much higher than a lot of these schools. I'd probably put us higher than Iowa, Missouri, Kansas State, in the USC. Probably those two. I think I'm buying the Florida hype this year. I really am, along with Miami, South Carolina, Ole Miss. And I do expect Illinois to be good, although I'm definitely rooting on their downfall. So let me know your thoughts down below about that. Joel Klatt, interesting prediction. Hey, shout out to him for giving us some respect. We just posted a video earlier today about the media not giving us respect. Make sure to watch that video if you haven't already. But Joel Klatt definitely giving us some love. So, all right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below about everything going on with Nebraska football. Hey, if you made this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. Always, folks, go be great, go my rule, and I'll see you in the next one.